All righty, here we are. This is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics, and this is my buddy Belmont. And tonight we're going to
Going
talk
on?
about a infamous quote from the king himself, Jack Kirby. This is multiple sources that said that they met him and they asked him for advice. And if you ever asked Jack Kirby for advice, he would always say the same thing: "Don't get into comics, because comics will break your heart."
Maybe he was just trying to stop the competition. To
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard several different theories. He was a generous guy. Very nice to meet. Everybody that ever met him just raved about him. Said he was just a wonderful guy. Uh, I
I'll
don't
be
know if
honest,
you.
when I was younger, I absolutely hated his artwork, and I was like, "How does this guy?" I mean, and then later on, I realized he was a genius.
Yeah.
But when I'm
Oh
talking about
man.
when I was like 15 or 14, I didn't really care for his artwork. I was in the image or whatever,
Hmm.
But now I can see it. I'm just a little kid, but
Yeah. Right.
he was the best. He
Dojo's
was
like
the best.
Belmont again. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah, I'm
me and
everywhere.
Belmont. Hey guys, you start so early. well, Well, 7 o'clock has been the show. I mean, I've gotten as almost 70 people one Friday night. Of course, I had on Lady Alchemy, so her simp army was coming out in force. So that was a good night. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this has just been a good streaming time. Normally, that every once in a while you just get a dud. You know, nobody's available or anything like that. But hopefully, the chat will pick up anyway. Buddy Lord says any later and he'd run into other stuff. And Sweet Martina is very cool. Yep, you might want to watch the replay. She was very cool. Very good time that night. Uh yeah. Well, I offered, but Dojo's got the family coming. Belmont wanted to know if you want to come on. Buddy, if you want to come on, man, I'll send you the link, dude. You certainly have a tragic tales of woe you could share. Uh, with Sins of the Fae. Anyway, yeah, once I heard that quote, I kind of like looked into Jack Kirby and kind of like the background and try to figure out what he meant by that, you know. Uh, and Oh, says you're all right. All right, cool deal, cool deal. But one person said that the possibility was that he thought he was doing a kindness to people by saying that. So because comics, there's a lot of effort for very little reward. That's just the nature of the beast, you know.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
well, I mean, think about it. You're like you're like drawing for hours and hold on, we got Aaron. What's up, dude?
What's going
Aaron
on, man?
Jordan, what's up, man? But you're drawing for hours, and you're uh by yourself. You're just like leaning over a drawing board, and getting arthritis, hurting your back. Poor Aaron Lepresti, man, he's got like braces on everything. If you see him for years
Shit.
and years and years.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah, he's keeps it's like a wrist brace and all sorts of stuff, man. Hold on. Yep, yep. Uh, anyway, yeah, Buddy's got the link. He'll probably be in here shortly. But the thing about it is though is I think another possibility was that he was trying to weed out the people who really weren't in it for comics. For the love of comics, because you have to be in it for the love of comics. I mean,
That's
you
for
just have
sure.
to.
That's for sure.
Uh, I was in Ollie's today, and you have an Ollie's where you are.
What is
Okay,
that?
well, it's like a clearinghouse place. Hold on. Hey, there's a what in the world? Holy crap!
Yeah. People refer to me as the Velociraptor.
The Velociraptor. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got
Are
an
you kidding me?
animation or something?
Hmm?
How the hell are you doing that, dude?
Oh, this is a program called Face Rig. It's got a bunch of different faces you can pick or avatars, and it doesn't move with
Uh-huh.
your whole body. It just moves with your face, but it tracks your face, and So my company is pretty particular about politics, and so I can't show my face. They're like,
Oh.
so I picked up one of
Okay.
these things just so I could actually come on and do something that was
Right.
somewhat automotive, and people could be like, oh look, it's moving, because people like it
Yeah,
when
yeah.
the face actually moves, or there's at least
Right.
some sort of quid pro quo, or else they're like,
Oh,
what?
man.
I'm talking to a wall.
So evidently
So
we're going
yeah.
to be talking to the Velociraptor tonight. Okay, no big deal.
I can't
That's
even
okay.
think straight with that going on.
Belmont's easily distracted, man. He's just gonna be sitting there the whole night, like, wow. Anyway,
My wife's like, you were on a fucking stream with a T-Rex? And I'm like, oh, that's a
this will be a first. This will be a first. It's kind of cool. All right. Anyway. Okay, no big deal. No big deal. Hey, you never know on a LoveStream, man. What's gonna happen? One of those. Dojo Kun says Cyborg Valkyrie had a great one of those for quite a while. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm stoned watching a raptor talk. I can't. Okay.
Come on, you're killing me here.
Let's see.
Ooh,
Yep,
talking
yep,
Big
yep.
Mac.
Yeah, he's jealous. He's jealous. All right. Belmont, are you high already? I don't know. We'll see. This is
Hello.
Barbusco, Ed from Barbusco Studios. What's up, man?
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Oh yeah, we're just talking to a Velociraptor. No, as you do.
Yeah, I notes.
Oh, it's okay. No big deal. Let's see. Hojo says, "Hell the fuck it all." Oh, okay. All right. No big deal. Barbusco, he's gonna be like doing a little bit of draw stream tonight. So hold on one second. There it goes. Yeah, he's gonna be drawing on my comic tonight a little bit.
Hey,
if you guys are cool with that.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, he's gonna. There's gonna be there's a punch up between.
they tried to punch him. He went under the punch
Global Man
and uppercutted him in the face.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Belmont has confirmed. Yep. He's pretty high. Okay, no big deal. Anyway, yeah. So getting back to Jack Kirby, that is hold on. Been waiting to see for work. Okay, all right. Anyway, more. All right. I don't. Anyway. So yeah. Jack. There's been speculation that he's trying to steer the also rans and the people who weren't really in it for the right reasons away from the art. Away from the the trials and travails that happened from a comic book standpoint. When you think about it, poor Jack invented some of the biggest IPs, or at least had a hand in inventing some of the biggest IPs in comic book history, and got very little credit for it, especially in Marvel. And yet it was like he would take on these challenges, create these universes for these companies, and then when they were done with him, they would just not renew his contract, and he's out the door. So that's kind of a hard lifestyle, but I wonder how he would have done in indies. If his kind of speed that he had and his imagination.
The Image guys had a comic book series that they had where they got in touch with his wife and made a comic book based on some an idea he started but didn't finish.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, and they actually put that comic together. I believe they gave all the proceeds to her. And I remember somebody was, maybe it was Art was talking about it. And he was like, she was so great to talk to and was such an interesting person. I mean, going back to the statement in Jack Kirby, I would probably say that I mean that was a guy that was like an actual veteran, I believe. Like he was actually in the military, and had served, and then he came in, and then wanted to entertain people, right?
Right.
And so that had to be difficult because he was giving everything he's got,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people were really stealing his ideas all around him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was smarter than they were.
Yeah. Yeah. People that weren't as talented as he was. I mean, between him and Ditko talking about giants roaming the earth. I mean, you see the length and the breadth of Ditko's work. I mean, Ditko had incredible IPs that he created. And I think a lot of people give him credit for Spider-Man, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
At least a better part of it. Spider-Man himself. But Ditko is also a tragic tale. He died pretty much penniless almost. But Roz, which was Jack Kirby's wife, they were pretty much, that at the end of the day, they didn't really have a lot of life savings, saved up. So that she was in pretty dire straits. So that I remember that happening. I don't remember the actual comic. I remember them donating proceeds for something to her. Anyway, but like somebody like Wally Wood, you guys know who that was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Skymaster. He did Skymaster with Stan Lee, and
right.
I believe Kirby did the pencils. Some of those.
Yeah. He was credited with a lot of tricks that they use even in comics to this day. The Marvel comics the Marvel way is essentially every Wally Wood trick put into a book, So I mean,
that was my Bible. That was my Bible when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody have show of hands. Anybody had to draw comics the Marvel way? Anybody? Yeah. The Velociraptor has it too. Anyway.
I have it digital too right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, judging from Ed's work, I know he's got it somewhere.
Yeah, but I was a little late with it. I checked it when I was almost a professional because my drawings were a little stiff, and my teachers kept saying, "Oh, you should read this," and it really helped.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on one second. Your boy Hojo says yuppers, and Aaron Johnson says, Aaron Jordan says, I owned a copy back in my teens. I don't know if I still have it. Well, if you don't have it, reacquire it. I did. I lost my copy in a fire, and when I went to try to teach myself to draw comics back when the shutdown happened, I was like, oh shit, I don't have it anymore. I need to get this. So I actually went on Amazon and bought a copy of it, which is not cheap anymore, unfortunately. I think they'd reprint that thing and reissue it or something. Anyway, Wally Wood, man, he did everything. Like I think he did porn for a while, and I think he committed suicide or something. It was pretty tragic end he did.
Damn.
But
wow,
comic
books are almost like the I don't know, some of the alternative writers of like the 60s and 70s. They were always killing themselves.
Right. But you read their writing and it's like, how in the world do you dwell in the world this bleak? Well, you don't really know. So I'm surprised Kurt Vonnegut lived to die of natural or cancer, I think it was. Anyway, it wasn't natural causes, but
it's kind of natural,
Kind of natural, yeah. But here we are. We're in this new space here. This space of indie comics where anything's possible. You hold your own IPs. You get credit for everything you do because there's only you. You
Yeah,
know,
good and bad.
good and bad. Right. So does that even still apply? You know, the whole comics, break your heart. Does that still apply?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
mean,
kind of does, right?
like it's like getting into comic books is sort of like
Uh-huh.
having okay. Bear with this analogy. Getting into
Mm-hmm.
comic books is sort of like having a kid, and what I mean by that is, most of the time people have kids.
Yeah.
They don't come with owner's manuals.
No, they do
There
not.
was a joke I heard a long time ago that was like, if we put a kid in a car at 18, never gave them an owner's manual, didn't go through a test, and they got into a few wrecks, we wouldn't be surprised.
Uh-huh. Right.
And it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have an owner's manual for this. I mean,
Right.
you can look at some of these guys like
Mm.
Ethan or John or Malin or whatever, and it's like okay, and it's like okay, but their experience isn't your experience.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, like not only just the money, but just the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of understanding what might
Mm-hmm.
take longer, what might
Yeah.
be something that
Well,
holds them up.
obviously they don't have that knowledge. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry, Belmont. I'm sorry.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wah wah. Anyway, Dojo says, and you take the blame for everything too. LOL. Yes, you do. And yes, it does. I can say it for sure. Yeah, it does break your heart. It still does. Yeah. Well, another flip side to that is why does it still exist as a medium if it's so difficult, mentally and physically and in pretty much every conceivable way financially?
I
What?
wonder if
Mm-hmm.
that is really unique for comic books,
Uh-huh.
because
No, it's not.
because we like to. I think that every creative medium, like video games and movies, like really think for a second. I'm not saying that it's not hard, but think for a second about
Mm-hmm.
the filmmakers'
Yeah.
life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you're making an indie movie,
Right.
like all the money that goes into it, and you put it free on YouTube, and it's
Mm-hmm.
good, but nobody cares.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Dojo says DC and Marvel are trying to destroy the medium, but indies are out there saving them. Yeah. Agreed. But when you look at the cycle of any art form, uh, there does seem to be like a life cycle to it, to where it starts out, it's brilliant, it's exciting, it's new. A lot of people are getting on the ground floor. A lot of new things are being created and discovered, and then it gets more popular, and people become superstars. They become like all of a sudden the corporations say, oh, money's being made, whoosh, whoosh, and then the
Yeah.
corporations get involved, and then because they can't create, they can only like exploit. You suddenly the medium becomes corporatized, it becomes neutered, and it becomes like, oh, we want the thing that works. We don't want you to go for anything new. We want you to keep doing what works. And then eventually all the creativity is like sucked out of it, and it becomes a soulless product that nobody wants anymore. And then the corporations dump it and move on. And that just seems to be the life cycle. Would anyone disagree with that one?
No, but I mean, I think that with comic books, especially, like somebody was saying, why
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Barbusco was asking. I think that's any creative endeavor, and I agree with you to an extent. Comic books are amateur enough that it looks like you could get in with a low barrier to entry. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like the cost is high, but
Right.
that's a lie.
That's a lie. It's a lie.
Especially if you are a writer.
Right.
It's a lie.
Exactly. So, yeah. Miss Rena says, "Hey guys,
Hi, Miss Rena.
statistical zero says, because it's fueled by nostalgia, you can take care of the whole thing on your own, and most importantly, when someone does it right, it makes the rest want to give it a try every time." Okay, I agree. I think the root of the problem is comics are over romanticized. Oh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting.
I think anybody's going to wax poetic about something that they read or experienced within their later or mid-formative years. Because if you've read something during that time, literally by brain chemistry, and this is why they call me Velociraptor, boys. Literally during those moments, if you have moments of where you think you've learned something, where you've learned, like, say, like a great moral good or something to that effect, that triggers dopamine receptors in your brain. Okay.
Right.
And so now, as soon as you feel something with a thought, that automatically, because of the way we work and the way that we kind of collate thoughts or collate ideas, which are thoughts, that makes that important to you. That makes that something that not only is encoded immediately, which means it's registered to long-term memory. It's not only registered to long-term memory, it's also like trapped in your amygdala. It's trapped in one of the interoceptor hubs, is what they call it, where we collate those ideas, and it's trapped in your amygdala. So like when you start thinking, you immediately go to that. You don't just you don't think about it.
It's your happy place. It's your happy place.
So they're going to be over romanticized. Anything that you have experienced during that time period, like for guys my age, Transformers. If you go into a guy, you say Transformers, they're like, ah, more than meets the eye. It used to be like about 5-8 years ago. It was Flash Gordon was pretty big in cult circles. I remember going to conventions and it was a big thing. Like you go down to the painting circle and you'd be like, oh man, has anybody got a blade? I need to cut off some Flash. And I was in Dragon Con, I think, and like the whole group turned to me at once. It was sort of weird and cult-like, and they went and they were like, Flash. Oh, you saved every one of us. I was like, what happened?
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Well, that if you ever go to a midnight showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show, that gets kind of creepy sometimes, as in sync as everybody is. New Teen Titans, Uncanny X-Men are trapped in my amygdala. Wahahaha. Right. Gotcha.
Those were great cartoons. I mean, if something is trapped there, man, that's a good one to have.
Well, I was talking about this the other day. When you think about it, though, the art form of comics goes all the way back to cave paintings. Because you think those little tiny guys took down that mastodon, that it was exaggerated. I mean, they basically were drawing themselves as superheroes, and this is all the way back to cave painting. You can say that that's the very first comic book. But as you go, you got the visual medium of comics, drawing big burly men doing incredible things, the whole mythology and things like that. Yeah, it's part of like humanity's culture,
Well, it's actually part of evolutionary psychology. The whole idea of storytelling and language and all of it is just is a progression of evolutionary fitness, which is basically finding a better mate so that you increase the genetic fitness of the entire race. Which is why I think it's funny that we put kind of regressive characteristics on comic books or stories. It's like you're literally going against the point of evolutionary psychology and progression. And you're calling yourself
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm enjoying Belmont being like, oh, I'm trying to talking dinosaur.
A talking dinosaur and like a really cool drawing, like rotating on the screen. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, he's not focusing very well right now. Most talk about creating shared universe even before having a book, and then reality sets in. You have to sit at the desk and draw a lot of stuff you don't want to make it work. Yep.
Well, I mean, to do a shared universe, before you put a single pen to ink on the drawing, you got to figure the story out.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And that was one thing Jack Kirby was great at. That was one thing Jack Kirby was amazing. Jack Kirby was a great storyteller. I don't know if he's a great writer because I've never read a novel by him or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he was an epic storyteller.
Oh yeah, he was a master of the form. He really was. Essentially, does a fiber line backbone into your brain. Its immediate Pavlovian response. Takes you instantly to another place in time. It's hardwired, as the raptor says. Yeah, well, to have your heart broken though, you have to like actually care. And
Yep.
and I think when you see somebody like Jack Kirby, who he really, really cared, and he cared about the art form. He cared about these characters that he was creating, that he was, drawing, all those long hours. And we were talking about somebody. I didn't know this, but Luke Stone was talking about when he got drafted and he went into the army. He drew his comics like months ahead, so they could still do a daily while he was overseas. That's crazy.
That's incredible planning right there.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Yeah, I think people were like talking about. I read somewhere where Stan Lee was the guy that just basically came up with the ideas, but Jack Kirby was the one that made them reality. And that whole bullpen did, because Stan Lee was a dreamer, but he wasn't much of a doer, as it were.
Well, that's like an engineer and a technician, The engineer draws up a plan and then hands it to the technician. He's like, make this work. And the technician, that won't work.
Make it work. If it doesn't work, it's your fault. The idea is good. Yeah, I've dealt with engineers before. Anyway, but this is good stuff, hey?
What's the character's name that he's drawn?
Okay, right now the guy with the cracks, that's Obsidian Man. He is actually made of volcanic glass. But he is also a necromancer, he's a what is that? Geomancer, where he actually controls rocks and he can like make it part of himself and make himself bigger. So essentially, volcanic glass is one of the hardest substances on the planet, and that's what he's made out of. So
he can get hard anytime he wants?
Yeah, he can get hard anytime he wants, Belmont. Yeah.
But bump.
You made it weird, man. You just made it weird. You always make it weird. Anyway.
Sorry, but popped in my head. I had to get it out.
I got you. I understood. The guy who punches him, though, he's interesting. He's like my world's Superman, but he's an artificial being. So he's basically made up of the little tiny machines that are like in the very fabric of the world. They managed to find a way to create a matrix to hold them all together into one form or one body, and he kind of became the Superman of the world. So he's like the
biological nano machines.
Yeah, they like interface with biologic, but they're like in every fiber of the world. But the Manhattan Project basically created him.
Okay,
but they don't know how. They don't really understand how he works. They just know that he works for them. But will he always work for them? That's the question. Anyway, but he's like the Superman of the world. He's like the global policeman of the world. He like enforces American policy across the globe. But hence global man. He's also gender neutral. So he might be global man right now, or he could be global woman tomorrow, which is another thing they like about him. Anyway, sad secret most won't tell you. Drawing comics is 85% drawing things like lamps, unmade beds, buildings or trees. So much of the heavy lifting is very boring. It's the after feeling most want. Yep. Dojo says, okay. Hell. Yep. Holy crap, is that a raptor? Yes, it is. Sounds like his wife's happy at home. Oh,
get hard anytime you want.
You guys make it weird. You make it weird, man.
You said it. You said he gets hard anytime he wants.
Well, they're not called nanobots in my world. They're called Soultrons. Dojo King.
He can align his atomic structural integrity whenever he wants. There you go. It means the same thing.
Yep. Right. I guess he kind of operates similar to the T100, T2000, and T2. The second Terminator movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would operate kind of similar to that. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Hey, TBC stopping by to show some love. Hey, Lola. What's up? What's up, dear? I'm praying for your daughter there. But yeah, I mean, when you're talking about, the mental stress, to get a comic book off the ground, the endless hours by yourself, and then after all this effort, you don't really have a guarantee that people are going to receive it or like it or even see it, and that's definitely something that it can be very heartbreaking. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're working for the sake of birthing something that may never see, may never see the light of day.
I think it's like any other artistic endeavor. You in the end, you have to do it for yourself.
Right.
If you're not doing it for yourself, then you're destined to be disappointed.
Dojo Kun isn't on the panel, and I don't see Luke or Mike right now. We have to learn new names. Okay.
We asked them.
I know we did. Lola. Okay. Where can I get a raptor avatar? You'll have to consult with Buddy after it's over with. Anyway, Dojo is agreeing. That's for damn sure. Statistical 0 as usual. Has got to fly. A good rest of the night off. He comes in, drops truth, and then he's gone. As usual.
I mean, he is an eagle. At least he's not. Yeah. There's no other kind of droppings. He's laying down.
Gotta fly now. Anyway, but yeah, that's well, I mean, you gotta have to love. You have to love it. You have to love what you're doing. You have to love your IP. You have to love this universe you're creating, and that's at least in my case. That's my primary motivation.
You have to sell it to the people after you create it. You have to have the hook. You have to pitch.
Yep. Right.
I mean, that's a whole other show.
That's all. Well, actually, it was the show from yesterday. Pitt, look for it in the, Anyway, hold 1 second. No offense. Got a bookmark his stream for later. Would download after process and stick in my listening folder. All right. Have fun, ladies and non-ladies and raptors. Anyway. But
hey,
yeah,
got to be versatile.
Exactly. Yeah, you do. Mentally versatile, right? But yeah, what he's drawing right now is actually a news report for a fight that went on just before the action for my first book. So that's.
I mean, it looks like somebody's punching below the belt. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well.
It's like, oh yeah,
it's aimed down. He kind of like punched down from an upward trajectory down. So that's not a crotch shot. So there you go. Anyway,
Yeah,
sure. Is he hard right now, or is he about to get?
Yeah. See.
The crotch would
the genitalia
be
is down there, right?
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah, it's going right for it. What do you mean?
Goodness gracious, you guys are awful. Anyway, yes, that's Ed from Barbusco is drawing right now. Yep, he's drawing my comic. Anyway, so the reason why I think it still exists as an art form is I think there's a certain amount of nostalgia, a certain amount of you know, what childhood memories? I think you guys watch anything in this like your childhood, like any like shows that really inspired you that were comic book based?
Comic book based.
Well, okay. For instance, I watched the Incredible Hulk growing up with David Banner.
I watched the reruns. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, it actually holds up very well. I was amazed. I watched it. Watched kind of like a whole season about a few months ago.
I used to watch the reruns of Batman, the Adam West Batman.
Oh, the Adam West Batman. Yeah, that hasn't held up very well now.
It's still funny.
I mean, if you understand what it was, is literally a spoof.
Right.
They literally, they were like, "Oh, let's make this funny," and so they tried, and it's just over the top. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like mixing one of those Japanese video game shows and Batman.
Yeah,
it's just like over the top. I had my holy bat spray.
Like, well, I mean, if you can like create the dance, Dojo says the Super Friends. Anybody watch that? I did. Yeah, I love the Super Friends. The Wonder Twins, not so much. I never did like the Wonder Twins.
Later on in my teen years, I think the animated series from DC was the best. It's still one of the best presentations of any comic book or representations of any comic book ever. Like the Batman animated series, Superman.
Oh yeah,
JLA was it United or something?
Oh yeah, Justice League. It was Justice League and then Justice League Unlimited. I think
Unlimited. That was good.
That
was really
those were just fantastic.
Gosh, the stuff with the question. That was noir, detective stuff right there. I love that stuff with the question.
They were able to do so much with emotion without like having to show. Huntress was into him. Was really, and then he lets her, see his face, and you have that whole like really tender moment, and then she turns the lights off. And it's like, alrighty
then. Dojo Coon says he's gonna have to poach him. Yeah. Well, see, we had this thing because Dominion's original name was Brickhouse Brown, and Dojo's got a character called Brickhouse, and so I changed the name so as to not to conflict. So that's what that's about. Anyway, so Aaron Jordan says, draw those abs, Ed, make them sing to me. Yeah, he's an abs guy. 90s Spider-Man's one of the greatest story in superhero history. It captured Peter perfectly and put so much care into how everything fits together. Yep, they did. They really did. That was a good series.
Was that the one where they gave him a minute with Uncle Ben?
I don't know.
I remember that scene. I remember when I saw that scene, I cried.
Oh, I remember. That did happen.
I was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, it was like Secret Wars or something like that.
Right.
And he led the charge and was victorious. And as a reward, he's like, you get 1 minute. And he's like, what? And there's like a cube or something, and he touches it, and it's Uncle Ben, and he comes and he talks to him, and he's like, I'm so proud of you. He's just like doesn't say a word.
The tears.
Just, like, falls into his arms.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
that was around Field of Dreams, though. That they probably took that from Field of Dreams. Anyway, says the Wonder Twins were better than Wendy and Marvin with Beppo the monkey. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Anyway, like that stuff isn't very much ingrained in the DNA, and there was a lot of like comic strips. Comic books is a relatively new art form. Comic strips predate them quite a while. Like the Phantom, the Shadow, things like that existed as comic strips. So all the guys that created these comic books later started out as comic strips, looking at or wanted to be in comic strips. If you ever watch some of the deep dives that Graham Nolan does into some of these original comic strips and some of the art that was in these comic strips, so really amazing. Yeah, this is a little off the topic, but not really. You ever look at Calvin and Hobbes?
Yep.
Was that a superhero comic or what?
Why do you say?
Well, he certainly was imaginative. I'll give him that. But yeah, but yeah, this stuff is like in the very DNA. It's in our blood. It's in our makeup, and so when we see people like taking something that's so beloved to us, and that's Dojo Kun says Prince Valiant was a comic strip too. Yep, it was. But this stuff is like ingrained in us, like on a really visceral level, a really basic level. And so what happens is when we see it being destroyed, and like so callously and so effortlessly, if you're going to destroy something that has so much history and love behind it, you should actually have be exerting some effort, but they're not even exerting effort. It doesn't even matter that much to them. It's just like that breaks my heart. I mean, that's the way comic books is breaking my heart right now. Aaron says I used to read Calvin and Hobbes religiously through a tamper when it was over. Yeah, it broke my heart when he closed it out. But that's a way that I guess that breaks my heart. What they're doing to these characters now,
I'm way past.
Yeah, it used to bother me. Now I don't care.
I really don't care anymore, man.
There's a time where the chasm where my love for the mainstream comic were that every once in a while I'll feel a twinge, like a phantom limb, it's been cauterized out of me, but every once in a while I'll see an image or something or read one of the old classics, and I'll remember what it was, and I'll, not what it's become, but like that series, there's a Moon Knight series on right now, and I can't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah,
Moon Knight is my jam. I love that character. I love that character dearly. Yeah, I've heard it's good, but I
refuse to give Disney anything.
Batman is one of my favorite superheroes, but I don't want. It's not that I don't. I'm willingly don't want to watch. I just don't care anymore. I don't care anymore, so I don't have the energy to go. And even though it's good, I know everyone's saying it's good. I really don't care, man. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, isn't that like the extent? I mean, what do they always say? The show when it really ends, when it's really bad, the show doesn't end with thunderous applause, but silence.
Yeah,
because nobody cares anymore.
It ends with apathy. Yep.
And that's where a lot of us are now. That's where I'm just like, when I see, I just block on Twitter. I see all these new, it's like, and it's funny because they changed the names. It's like they know it. At first it was Doctor Strange Universe. I blocked that. Then it was like Doctor Strange Unlimited. I blocked that. Then it was Doctor Strange. I'm like how many of these do you have?
Multiverse of Madness.
It's like I will block everyone.
Yeah, Dojo Kun is a big She-Hulk fan, especially John Byrne's run. So he says, Disney says She-Hulk's going to be a 30-minute legal comedy, and they're going to F that up so bad. Yeah, probably. It could be good, but Disney already messed up enough for me. If I watch it, I'll redacted, so they won't get my money. Arr, mateys, arr.
Yeah. Sailboats and everything. I get it. Yeah, I don't. I mean. if you guys want to do that, it's fine. I don't even want to give them the time. I don't want to talk about them. The
Yep.
way that I look at
Right,
it is like,
right.
hey, you know what? There's a lot of alternative out there. There's a
Right,
whole plethora
right.
of alternative, and some of it is a hell of a lot smarter and a hell of
Yeah,
a lot better. So why not give that
yeah,
your time?
yeah.
Give that your money. Give that your ability. You know,
Right.
and that's kind of where I am with it. I was reading a quote by I think it was Maya Angelou today, and obviously that's not a lot of people's jam because it's poetry. But she
Yeah,
had this great statement. She's like, people may forget what you say, they may forget what you write. They will never forget how you make them feel. And
yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. We have not forgotten how comic books make us feel or can make us feel.
yeah,
But the comic industry as a whole
yeah,
has foregone the people that think of comic books like that, and
yeah,
instead is embracing the people that want comic books either as a political binary seminal tract
yeah,
or as a tool of speculation, a
yeah.
medium of currency,
Right.
And I'm like,
Well, all they want right now, they want cultural. They want the cultural power that comic books had because of the movies, and so they glom on to anywhere there's cultural power, like Locust, and they'll strip it clean, and then they'll make it unrecognizable and alienate the fan base to the point where it loses its cultural cachet and power, and then boom, they'll go to something else.
the
You
Marvel
know?
Cinematic Universe had just enough of the right kind of fan service to make
Yeah.
you feel. It was
Yep.
cheesy.
Yep.
It didn't fit. There were plot holes everywhere.
Ah.
But every theater almost simultaneously erupted in Endgame when
Yeah.
Sam says, "On your left."
Yep. Yep.
Did they not?
Yeah.
When those
And
portals
everybody in
opened.
the theater groaned when the women all got together.
Yeah. What was that? Like the alpha, just trying to like the alpha
Yeah.
chorus or something? I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I honestly, I kid you not, everybody in the theater just went like, "Oh, this motherfucking shit. Oh God." You
Well,
know.
because you
And
have
then
this
went
brilliant moment of feeling and all this stuff
Uh-huh.
coming together, and you see
Yeah.
all the heroes using their different powers and ways and together. You just had, I think it
Right.
was like Captain America and Thor were just like trading,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's like, no, you
Millenor
he's like,
and the
you
shield,
take
yeah.
give me the big one, you
Yeah.
take the little one, and then you have these girls, and you're just like, really?
Oh, but the one time they cheered, the biggest cheer was when Captain Marvel went at Thanos and he pulled the jewel out and punched her
Oh
out,
yeah,
out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
universe.
That
You
was
know?
so good.
Everybody was
Knock
cheering.
'em out.
Everybody was cheering. I was
I
like,
mean, you also had the moment where you had what I think is the payoff of Captain America. We've set him up for 3 or 4 movies. What does he
yeah,
always say? I could do this all day.
I
I
got
could
it. Yeah,
do this all
right,
day. And he was
right,
forced to prove that. Can you really do
Mhm.
it all day?
right,
Against
right,
somebody who's bigger than you, stronger than you, that you have no chance against ever. Can you
yeah,
really do it all day? And
right, right,
yeah, he was going to come back until he was a bloody pulp.
yeah,
So he was like just a massless, quagmire of blood, muscle, and
right,
tissue limping
right.
over there with a shield.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they certainly did the callbacks, didn't they? They went easy. They want easy recognition without putting in any of the work it takes to get to that point naturally, right? Exactly. Avengers A Force Assemble LMA. Oh yeah, definitely,
That
definitely.
was just, I do agree. That was it was a low
It
point because it was so forced. All those
it
characters
was
were all
shoehorned in.
over the battlefield, and all of a sudden they were just
Oh
together.
yeah, and you're like, okay, that's the future. As soon as Endgame's over, this
Yeah,
is ending.
you pretty
This
much,
is
yeah.
ending.
I mean, they kind of told you, they showed you
Yeah.
Wanda, Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
A Force.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is going away. This is going away. But that's the thing though. I mean, it's just I guess it's when we can't really be heartbroken by the mainstream anymore. Um, I guess we're just, I guess it's like the ex, who you only have like regret about now. You know, you don't have any of the former feelings that you used to have. You just have like the feeling of like, did I spend all that time and did I spend, you know, all that energy on this you know, shit show here, you know, and I think that's kind of what I feel like. I feel like it's just the ex that you're so completely totally over that that it's just like there's like a gap, empty chasm where that the love for that person used to be. You know, you just like,
well, like you're saying, like the
this is
whole
gone.
phantom limb or something. It's like you feel something should be moving, but it's not, and so
Right.
you're like, oh yeah, I used to feel something for that. I remember those days.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get into making them, and that's a whole other
Right.
delicious hell of its own.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, the thing about it is you look at Jack. What Mr. Kirby said. You know, when he had these IPs taken away from him and put in other hands that weren't as talented as him, and he was sidelined, having to watch the fourth world be, you know, destroyed and handled by people who should have never had a hold of it, you know, and see a lot of his art, this brilliant art, being ruined by heavy-handed inkers. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, his Italian name, and that they would punish artists by giving them this guy as an inker because he was just going to cover up everything, you know. That made it beautiful. And he would ink Jack Kirby stuff, and I've seen his stuff restored. That where they figured out that I guess it was a different kind of ink that he had than the person that inked his stuff. And so they were able to restore some of the underlying images, and to see how much was just covered up over and just obliterated, just will break your heart, you know. but yeah, I mean, and after a while, you know, he stopped doing all that detail because it was just going to be like covered over anyway, you know. But yeah, I mean,
the like the Eternals and the the New Gods, and then he created something that was kind of an analog on the other side. The machines that he created for those characters and the different it's just nuts. But if you actually think about it and follow it, it makes sense.
Right.
I've heard people, like I've seen people that like, there's a couple guys that I've talked, I'm not going to call it names, but there's a couple artists that I've talked to. They're like, yeah, it's kind of Jack Kirby-esque. I just sort of add things, you know, like adding pockets in the 90s for, you know, some of the image creators. But that's not true. Like if you really look at it and you understand what he understood, which he was, you know, he understood, he was a diesel mechanic. So he understood kind of basic combustion engines, and you work from there. You're like, oh, yeah, I see how that would work.
Well, he also did the Kirby dots. He created the way powers are portrayed. You know, he created that. You know, before him it was like lightning bolts and just you know, physical contact. He was the one that really pushed the, you know, the beam of light or whatever, the mental power, or the, you know, the hex spell, you know, Scarlet Witch and things like that. He was the one that really came up with a lot of that language that is still being used today, you know, and so yeah, I'm sure he had a lot of bitterness in him. I'm sure when he told people comics will break your heart, don't get into them. I'm sure he's thinking some of that stuff, but you know, at the end of the day,
everybody that talks about him though says that he was just the nicest guy.
Oh yeah,
that,
just
you know, that he was
just a sweetheart,
kind of person that would give you the, you know, the shirt off his back sort of deal, you know. Which I don't know. I mean, was he part of the Greatest Generation? I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He served in World War II.
So,
but
so that stands.
I mean, yeah,
that tracks.
That reminds, hearing he say that reminds me from other media books. R.A. Salvatore is a big name. He writes Drizzt for D&D books. He sells a lot. He's very, very
There's a lot of
rich.
fantasy, yeah.
And he says, don't get into writing books. It's not worth it. He says, if you can, he says, if
you can do anything else.
If you can do anything else, do it. Don't write books.
Right. I've heard comedians say that to other comedians. If you can do anything else but stand-up comedy, do it. You do not want to be a stand-up comedian unless you really want to do it.
I mean, I think that's just a way of saying if you don't love it, don't do it, because it is a labor of love.
Creative, any creative thing is really hard.
Yeah.
It reminds me when I was taking classes to learn specifically for comic books, right?
Yeah.
And you labor into it. You work hours and hours the whole week on pages and drawings, and you are certain that it's the best thing ever in creation, and you show it to your teacher, and he says it sucks, and that really hurts, man. Like every Thursday I had class, and every Friday I had to take a day off because I was really depressed. But it really,
but doesn't
really
that prepare you for what it really is, especially now?
Yeah.
Now, because if you put
I'm just
draw
saying,
something
like,
and put it out on the internet,
millions
millions of people that have no business judging you judge you.
I'm just saying that's how creative life is. You have to. You will be heartbroken.
It's always funny to me, when people with that have read, like, I don't know, they Googled 30 seconds on how to draw, and then they're like, this shadowing isn't perfect and not right for this kind of light and shape, and I'm like, shut up.
Oh, there was this guys that were doing a review of Bancroft's The Lucent, and they were like, well, technically it's a good book, but there's this one panel that has the wrong perspective, and they were like, just spent like 10 minutes of the review on this one panel that had a bad perspective on it, and I know for a fact that neither of those guys ever created a damn thing, and I was just
the first thing I think about if I'm going to criticize anybody is like, do I know anything about this, and does it benefit anyone to bring this out?
Right. Well, I mean, I know that there's a fandom has to be able to have their own opinion. I mean, they're ultimately they're the customer, but I think it does gall a creator from time to time when one of these people that couldn't do it themselves, or like having to have these opinions about everything, but I'm sure that's a little bit of heartbreak too. Full disclosure, Ed sent me a page earlier this week, and I was a real jerk to him about it, and he's like, well, it was everything in your script, and I was like, no, it wasn't. And I looked at my script, and yes, it was. And so
how do you handle that when that happens?
Well, I ate crow. I ate crow for a while there.
I've had instances like that happen, especially with other artists, and I buy the page anyway because I'm like, that's what I asked for. It's not his fault that
Well, I mean, we worked it out. I just I was like, I was like, okay, well, obviously, I didn't communicate to you what I needed, and so we renegotiated, and the page is beautiful. I mean, the page he came back with is just beautiful. But that's the thing.
I mean, Pixar, it didn't happen. What's up with that?
Oh yeah, well. That's
you'll have to buy it.
I'm not a perfect man. This guy's creating stuff like this, and I'm being overly critical. I mean, come on now. I have an embarrassment of riches.
I criticized X one time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but most of the time, I'm like, okay, if that's what you came up with, I'll write a story for it.
Right. Yeah. Well, you got Xevious. I mean, you just let that man go. You just let him go.
Well, it was funny the other day. He was starting on something else, and I had changed the script because I wanted it to be. You and I talked about it. I had a narrative issue that I just didn't. It didn't work for me, and so I changed it, and it added more pages and everything. But it changed everything from the beginning of that portion of the script, from that act on. And he had finally gotten to where he started, so he started on it, and I'm like, "Don't do anything more because it's done." That's why I told you that. Right. And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Okay, I'm going to take a nap then, and I'll work it out later." Because Xevious doesn't really sleep; he just sort of naps like 2 or 3 hours at a time.
He doesn't really sleep. Miss Rena, I'm sorry, we're about to end the stream here shortly. I'll get you on next time, ma'am.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're just about to close up shop here. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for that. I think we had a really good discussion. Hold on, check the private chat here. It's okay. Okay, all right, no problem. Anyway, but I thank you for coming, the fluffiest chat, and all of CG. Thank you for Mr. Velociraptor for for taking time out of terrorizing young children and facilities for hang out with.
I got to get some of them between my teeth.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, thanks for coming, Belmont. Thanks for Miss Rena. Sorry we didn't get you on this time. And thank you, Ed, for being my artist. And look at this. Look at it, guys. Yeah. I definitely proud to have him. Wait till his wife gets some colors on that.
Yeah,
his wife is genius. I mean, both of them are just incredible. So lucky. Anyway, thanks. All right, thanks everybody for coming. And God bless Mr. Jack Kirby wherever you are. Maybe I believe it's heaven, and I hope you're having a good time up there, drawing whatever you want. Your heart's content. Heartbroken no longer. Anyway, Buddy Lord, one last question. Is that also your Twitter name? I think it's Sins of the Fae, is it not?
No, it's at Blade Knight is here.
Oh, yeah.
It's on my
Blade.
Blade. Yeah, BLADENITE is here. Okay.
Right. Yep. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And Raiden Radio. Last second. Dude, you just show up the last second, man. We're heading out, man. We're leaving now. The party's over. He's the guy that shows up with a keg the last minute. Anyway.
You don't got to go home.
But you can't stay here. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a very good weekend.
Goodbye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Y'all make it your love. Y'all make